All right, let's take a look at number 55. Find the x and y intercepts. But first, we're going to review what we did from the beginning. Make sure you write down all these three. If you didn't have it last time, make sure you have it in there. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. We did that in the beginning of the school. Then we went to point-slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. And then we ended up with last week's standard form, ax plus by equals c. So using these points right here, I want to go and start with slope-intercept form first. Now, let's go with point-slope form because that's the easiest one to go with in the beginning. So if I give you 2 points, we need to find the slope. So I need to do the line in L. So I'm going to take -2, 8, and 4, 2. Now, so when we do our line in L, we're going to take 8 minus 2, and then -2 minus 4. 8 minus 2 is 6. -2 minus 4 is -6, which turns into -1. To add this to that equation, to get point-slope form, I go back and use one of these 2 points. Since 4, 2 is positive, I would use those, and I would mark it x and y, or x1, y1. Once I have that, I just plug it into the formula. My point-slope formula is y minus y1, which is 2, equals my slope, which is -1, x minus x1, which is 4. So now I have it in point-slope form. Now we got point-slope form done. Next one we're going to do is slope-intercept form, which, again, we can keep our slope right here because it's the same for each formula. So we don't have to do the slope formula again. We're just going to plug in y equals mx plus b, the slope-intercept formula. We're going to plug in my slope, y equals -1 x plus b. We have to find out what b equals. In order to do that, I would again use the positive points, 4, 2. And make sure you label them so you don't get confused that this is x and that is y. So when I plug this in, I'm going to get 2 equals -1. My x is 4 plus b. Just want to make sure that you know that this is a -1. So I want to get b by itself. So I have 2 equals -1 times 4 is -4 plus b. I got to do the opposite of -4, so I have to add 4 to both sides. Add 4 to both sides. And I get 6. Those cancel out. I got b equals 6. So then I can write my slope-intercept form as y equals -1x plus 6, which I don't need a -1 in front of it. I can just write y equals -x plus 6. Okay, so now we're going to take this equation, which is our slope-intercept form, which we got from our answer over here, and we're going to change it to standard form, which means we have to get the x over on the other side. So I have to add x to both sides, and then I get x plus y equals 6. So when I add x to both sides, those cancel. X plus y equals 6. Now I have it in standard form. Okay, now we're going to go back and answer this question. I just did a review with you guys to get you through what we've done so far. Now, this question is asking, find the x and the y intercepts. Using standard form, which we did there, whenever I want to find the x and the y intercepts, I want to use my x, y chart. And in that chart, like we did before, put a 0 underneath the x, a 0 underneath the y. And then I just substitute. X equals 0, plug 0 in for x. So I'm going to have 0 plus y equals 6. And that tells me that y equals 6 because I don't need that 0 right there. So my y-intercept is 6. Now I want to find what number goes here, which is my x-intercept. So I take the y, and I plug 0 into there. So I'm going to get x plus 0 equals 6. And then I end up with x equals 6 as my x-intercept. So let's solve this equation. 4x plus 5y equals 20. And I want you to graph it. So we're going to find the x and y intercepts. And I'm going to graph it, which means I need my xy chart. 0, 0. This is what we were doing last week. Standard form, find the x and y intercept. How do I graph it? Plug 0 in for the x. Plug in the 0 there. Plus 5y equals 20. 4 times 0 is just 0. Plus 5y equals 20. I don't need the 0 on the side, so I can rewrite it as 5y equals 20. And then I got to divide both sides by 5. They cancel, and I get y equals 4. And now we're going to find what the x-intercept is, which means I got to take this 0 and plug that in for y. So I'm going to rewrite that as 4x plus 5 parentheses 0 equals 20. I have 4x, 5 times 0 is just 0. So I'm left with 4x equals 20. I need to get the x by itself. So I divide both sides by 4. And I get x equals 5, which means that's my x-intercept, which means I put it right there. So if I want to graph this information, my y-intercept is 4. There's 4 in the y-intercept. And my x-intercept is 5. 5. And then I connect both those points with a line. Now I have my graph. So if you have this information right here, your point slope form should look like this. I would make sure that you label it x1, y1, and then label it y minus y1, which is 5. 1 is my slope. X minus x1, which is 3. Point slope formula, done. Actually, the slope is 4. Right there. Just see if you're paying attention. If I want to find slope intercept, equation, which is y equals mx plus b, I know that my slope is 4. I can rewrite this as y equals, my slope is 4, my x is 3 plus b. What should I write there for the y? 5, right? So I don't need to write the y. I can just plug in 5. So I have 5 equals 4 times 3 is 12 plus b. And I subtract 12 from both sides. Subtract 12 from both sides. 5 minus 12 is negative 7. Those cancel out. That equals b. So my final equation is, using my slope and my y-intercept, I have y equals 4x minus 7 as my slope-intercept form. So this is my slope-intercept form, but I want to change it to standard form. Only thing I got to do is move the x to the other side. So minus 4x to one side, minus 4x to the other side, and I get negative 4x plus y equals negative 7. So if I want to graph this, I need to make my xy chart. 0, 0. So now I just take the 0 in for x. Negative 4 parentheses 0 plus y equals negative 7. Those cancel out, and y equals negative 7. So if I want to substitute, if I want to find the x-intercept, I substitute 0 in for the y, and I rewrite it. Negative 4x plus 0 equals negative 7. Negative 4x equals negative 7. I divide both sides by negative 4, and I get x equals 7 over 4, and that is my x-intercept.